Hello and welcome back to my channel. Cyclamen plants are beautiful, but they can be tricky to care for. If yours has suddenly drooped, stopped blooming or started rotting, chances are you're making one of these common mistakes. Let's go over the top 5 cyclamen problems, mistakes and how to avoid them. This winter bloomer is loved for its delicate flowers and unique heart-shaped leaves. Unlike most houseplants, it thrives in cooler temperatures and follows a seasonal growth cycle. That's why it's important to know how to care for it properly. The first and most common mistake with cyclamen is overwatering. If your plant looks droopy, has yellowing leaves, or feels mushy at the base, chances are it's suffering from root rot. Unlike most houseplants, cyclamen grows from a tuber that stores water. If the soil stays too wet, the tuber begins to rot, damaging the plant from the inside out. Watering from the top can also be risky, as moisture sitting around the crown encourages fungal infections. So what's the best way to water cyclamen? Always check the soil first. If you are watering from the top, make sure that at least half of the soil has dried out before adding more water. Also, avoid wetting the ground too much, as cyclamen is sensitive to excess moisture in that area. To prevent these issues, watering from below is the best method. Simply place the pot in a shallow dish of water and let the roots soak up moisture naturally for about 15 minutes. This allows the plant to absorb just the right amount of water, reducing the risk of overwatering while keeping the tuber dry. Letting the soil dry out completely could be another problem. While cyclamen hates sitting in soggy soil, it also doesn't like to be dry. If the soil is completely dry all the way to the bottom, the plant may start wilting and the flowers will droop. The key is balance. Keep the soil evenly moist but never soaking wet, so be sure to check the soil. The second big mistake is placing your cyclamen in the wrong lighting conditions. Many people either expose it to too much direct sunlight or keep it in a dark corner, both of which can cause problems. This plant needs bright indirect light to thrive. If it's exposed to too much direct sunlight, especially in the afternoon, the leaves can scorch and the flowers may fade quickly. On the other hand, too little light can make the plant weak and leggy, reducing its ability to produce flowers. So where should you place it? The best spot is an east or north-facing window where it gets plenty of indirect light without harsh sun. If you only have a bright south or west-facing window, move the plant slightly away from the direct rays or use a sheer curtain to diffuse the sunlight. During its dormant period, in late spring and summer, cyclamen naturally sheds leaves and stops growing. At this time, light isn't necessary, but once a new growth appears in fall, it's crucial to give it the right light to encourage blooming. Getting the light just right will help your cyclamen stay compact, healthy and full of flowers for as long as possible. The third mistake people make with cyclamen is keeping it in a room that's too warm. Unlike most houseplants, cyclamen thrives in cool temperatures and struggles in warm indoor environments. This plant grows best between 50 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. If the temperature is too high, the flowers will fade quickly and the plant may go into dormancy too soon. Heat causes cyclamen to drop leaves and stop blooming, making many people think the plant is dying. One of the biggest mistakes is placing cyclamen in the living room during winter. Most living rooms tend to be too warm due to heating, which can shorten its blooming period. Instead, keep it in a cooler spot like a bathroom with natural light, a bright corridor or unheated room with a window. Also, avoid placing it near radiators, heating vents, or fireplaces. For the longest bloom time, try to keep cyclamen in cool, well-ventilated room. If the air is too dry, consider placing a tray of water with pebbles nearby to increase humidity without making the soil too wet. By keeping your cyclamen in the right temperature range, you will enjoy longer lasting blooms and healthier growth. With this plant, the temperature really matters. The fourth mistake people make with cyclamen is not understanding its dormancy period. Many assume their plant is dying when it naturally loses leaves and stops blooming. We are used to plants going dormant in fall and winter, but cyclamen is in the opposite. It rests during the warmer months. This can be confusing, especially if you don't know that cyclamen follows a seasonal cycle. It grows and blooms in cooler months from fall to early spring. But as temperatures rise in late spring and summer, it slows down, stops producing flowers, and starts shedding leaves. Watering and fertilizing during dormancy can lead to tuber rot or weak, leggy growth. Instead, as soon as you notice the plant slowing down, gradually reduce watering and allow the soil to dry out almost completely. Stop fertilizing since the plant isn't actively growing. The best thing you can do is move it to a cool, dry place out of direct sunlight, like shady corner, garage or basement. Then, when the fall arrives and new leaves start appearing, that's your cue to start watering again and bring it back into bright, indirect light. In just a few weeks, it will wake up and start blooming again. By respecting its natural cycle, you will have a healthier plant that comes back stronger every year. The fifth mistake with cyclamen is using the wrong soil and pot. This can lead to drainage problems, root rot, and poor overall health. This plant needs well-draining soil, but many people use regular potting mix which holds too much moisture. Since cyclamen grows from a tuber, sitting in wet soil for too long can cause it to rot. To prevent this, it's best to use a light, airy mix, something like blend of potting soil with added perlite, sand or orchid bark to improve drainage. The pot you choose is just as important. A pot with drainage holes is a must because excess water needs to escape. If the pot is too deep, water can collect at the bottom, keeping the tuber too wet. A shallow pot works best, allowing the roots to spread without trapping moisture. Also, when planting or repotting, make sure the tuber sits slightly above the soil level rather than being buried too deep. If it's covered completely, it can stay too damp and start to rot. Using the right soil and pot will help keep your cyclamen healthy, prevent common watering issues, and give it the best chance to thrive. I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more plant care tips. And if you have any questions or your own cyclamen care experiences, I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and happy growing!